Hello and welcome to LA Rams Central. This is the 18th edition. We'll have the 19th edition, and then we'll start the season with number 20, which I'm very excited about. Well, our season opener, by the way, is going to potentially have a guest over the phone. My buddy Eric, you guys remember him from the draft. We're going to go over a few things and talk about that. But as far as today's show goes, could be relatively short. I'm going to open with the Rams game against Kansas City, what I'm looking for in Week 3, kind of some other teams I'm looking at that I'm excited to watch in Week 3 just because of what I've seen so far, what I've been following, and what I'm anxious about. And I'll look ahead to Week 4 across the board for the NFL and what you, the fan, can expect. So hope you enjoy this edition. It should be relatively short. I'm thinking a half an hour, maybe around 35 minutes. So that's going to be it. All right, so I'm going to open with the Ram game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So there's a few things I took note here that I want to mention. 3 false starts that the Kansas City Chiefs had. So that's 3 more than the Seahawks had against the Rams in Week 17 when they were, the 12th man of Seattle. So can we be the 12th man of LA now because we got 3 false start penalties in a preseason game? See how annoying that is? We have a great fan base. Keep going to games. 60,000 strong for a preseason game is phenomenal. I'm excited to see what Week 1 is going to be like against Seattle Week 2, the first home game, not Week 1, but Week 2, and obviously the game against Buffalo, which will be their second ever home game in the LA Coliseum since their return. I'm excited about that. I will see the first ever AFC opponent in the LA Coliseum since 1979, so I'm pretty excited about that. Overall, though, guys, a couple things that I saw in that game. The Rams D put no pressure whatsoever on Alex Smith. If we are going to be considered the best defensive line in professional football, can we please start getting quarterback sacks and putting pressure on the QB? Because I saw none of it on Kansas City's opening possession. We couldn't get off the field either. Once again, third down was our bugaboo, and we dropped down 7-0. We had a good second series, but the third series was crap. Just absolute crap and garbage. I have nothing nice to say about the third series. I understand that we had I understand that. I don't understand what was going on. I can't even lie. I'm not even going to sit here and say I understand what was going on. It was just garbage. They ended up with a short field and held them to a field goal. That was great. I believe that was the final series that defense was out on the field. The Rams' first team O, Kenny Britt looked like a beast. I hope he brings that every single week because if he does, we're not going to be in as bad a position in the receiving corps as everybody seems to think. He just looked awesome. The other one I have down here is Wham Bam Cunningham. Everyone say it with me. Benny Cunningham now has a nickname. It's Wham Bam Cunningham because every time that guy gets the ball, to quote Chris Berman, 4-yard gain. It's awesome. He just continues to mow people over. Benny, love what you're doing. Keep it up. God forbid Todd Gurley goes down. I'm going to feel okay with Wham Bam Cunningham getting some of the carries while he's recovering. Malcolm Brown just continues to impress. I won't be surprised if by midseason he's the number 2 guy on the team. Our running situation is phenomenal. We have the best young running back in football in Todd Gurley. We have the best unknown young running back in football in Malcolm Brown, and we've got the best backup running back in football in Wham Bam Cunningham. So I'm really excited about what I saw there. Great stand at the end of the half. Number 35, Mike Jordan, made 2 great plays on defense. That was phenomenal. I was loving that. And he did that to preserve the game, really, at the end of the game. Mike Jordan basically saved the game for us. In a 21-20 game, he held strong, and we won because of it. So, great job on that. So those are kind of some notes. A couple things you guys might remember that I said I was looking for in this game that I want to give an update on here that I wasn't real thrilled with. No Spruce. I don't know what happened to him. He wasn't in uniform, so I'm assuming he was injured. And no Higbee. Not sure what happened there with Tyler Higbee, but he wasn't on the field either. Goff continued to show growth. I know it looked rough there in the first quarter, but it did get a lot better as the game went on. And Legatron's triumphant return, for lack of a better way of putting it, made a couple of key plays there and got us the game. So, kicked 3 extra points. He was 3 for 3 on those, which is what you want to see from your field goal kicker. I'd like to see some more out of him. We'll talk about that in the second segment. But overall, I was pleasantly surprised. We beat a playoff team at home in the LA Coliseum. I'm not going to blow this out of proportion, guys, because it is just a preseason game. But it is nice to know that is there. But week 3 is really where the iron meets. So let's go ahead and start the second segment right now. And the second segment of the show is going to cover week 3 across the board, not just with the Rams, but with everyone. So what I'm looking for in week 3 in the preseason with the Rams against the Denver Broncos, and I'm sure there are Bronco fans lining up going, oh, bring it, because I've been talking all kinds of trash really since the Super Bowl was over. And I don't mean for it to sound that way. I genuinely felt like, don't like Peyton Manning, so I'm never going to be good to a team that's led by Peyton Manning. I think the guy's an overrated blowhard. I thought Osweiler was treated like garbage. I did not like what John Elway did to Brock Osweiler, and the way the media excoriated him for doing what every single NFL player since the dawn of time has ever done, which isn't go where the money goes, but go where the starting roster spot is. I'm not convinced Denver would have started him. And I'm certainly not going to start for a guy that threw me under the bus and left me high and dry when the team, was about to go on this run. Like, I just felt like he was horribly mistreated during that entire playoff situation. He should have been the starter. And there's no question they would have the same exact results because their defense won those games. And he was a little bit better with the long ball than Peyton was at the time. So I don't understand it. So, the Bronco fans are going to be like, bring it. And you guys may win by 40 points. I don't care. It's preseason. It don't mean you're going to win the regular season by 40 points. And if it does, then I'll eat crow. And hey, I've done it before. I'll do it again. But I'm usually right. Just putting that out there. So what am I looking for from the Rams' perspective? I want to see Goff's growth continue. Chances are, guys, we should, I hate to say it, but we should see Case Keenum for most of this game, probably a good 3 quarters. If it were me, Goff would get the second half of the third quarter and all of the fourth quarter. And if my starters were staying in, I'd give Goff a half a quarter with the starters and then the rest of the game with the backups and say, you need to earn the second spot because Sean Mannion, we know what he can do. And right now, I do agree with this. I think it is a competition for the third spot. And it's okay. It's okay if Goff is a third stringer. He won't be a third stringer for long. I don't think he's going to be a third stringer, though, because we saw the growth in the Chiefs game, and I expect to see more of it at the end of this game and certainly in week 4 of the preseason. I need to see the D shut down Denver. Guys, if you can't stop butt fumble, or in this case, Trevor Siemian, a quarterback that's never played a down of professional football in his life, I don't know what to tell you. If that doesn't happen, then we don't have as good of a defense as we thought we did. Because not like Denver O-line is vaunted, it's not like their quarterback position is vaunted, and it's not like their receivers are young. So, suck it up, Buttercup, and play D. We need to see it. Higbee, I need to see Higbee targeted more. This guy needs to be our starter. I don't care about his run blocking ability. Run to the opposite side of Higbee, except on the occasional, option runs where you're going to give him a secondary block so it's double team. You need to start Tyler Higbee. He's a weapon that we don't have the luxury of sitting on the bench, assuming that we can do just fine with Kendricks and Hartley and all this other crap we got at the tight end position. Start him. Spruce needs to get put on the loose. If he's healthy, I need to see him. I'd like to see him in some packages with the starters, and then obviously give him the old Jay Goff, and let's see what Jared can do with a legitimate weapon on the outside. Legatron, I need to see him make a key kick or two, preferably a field goal. I don't care where from. Short distance, medium distance, long distance. He needs to kick a couple field goals and prove that he's over whatever heebie-jeebies he had a year ago. Because we are going to need him, and we can't afford not to have a kicker, that can make a field goal from his own 20-yard line, not on the field. So those are kind of the things I'm looking for in the Ram game. We'll see if they happen or not. Other teams that I'm looking at are the New Orleans Saints. Guys, I really think if the Saints defense just improves, if they go from 32nd to 17th, they're a playoff team and they're going to win their division. They're that good offensively. So I'm watching that game like a hawk. The Indianapolis Colts, was what we saw last year with Andrew Luck the exception or was it the rule? We don't know. So I'm anxious to see the Colts play too, because I do like them now that Peyton's gone. And I think that, Andrew Luck's the kind of quarterback that, you hope he does well. You don't know if he's going to do well, but you hope he does well. So I'm going to be watching the Colts. I haven't liked what I've seen at times from them, and I've liked what I've seen at times. It's been pretty inconsistent. Guys, the Houston Texans. You know what I think of the Houston Texans based on that one show. I got to see it. They play Arizona, so that'll be a really good competition. They looked really good last week at times, especially with their starters. And Jadeveon Clowney is no clown. That dude is legit if he can stay healthy. I'd love to see what he can do with 16 games under his belt. More importantly, I'd love to see what J.J. Watt can do when Jadeveon Clowney has 16 games under his belt, because I don't know how you throw or run the ball on that football team if he's healthy. So I'm going to be watching Houston, not Arizona in Week 3. Lastly, as far as looking ahead to Week 4, I'll tell you what you guys can expect for Week 4. That's where you're going to find your David Johnsons for the Cardinals. He was an undrafted free agent running back that made the team. That's where we're really going to see what Spruce is made of, because he's going to get the whole game to play. Guys, don't look for a victory in Week 4. I don't even know who we're playing in Week 4 of the preseason. Sorry, I don't. Nor do I care. But what I'm looking for, what you should be looking for, is the second and third stringers really showing that they can not only compete but can win at this level. We'll wait and see. In the end, I don't know if we'll know. But, I think if you're a fan of any team out there, you want to come out of Week 4 injury-free. You want to see some growth from some of your backups. If you have competition battles, and some of you do out there, you want to see a clear-cut winner by Week 4. If you don't see one by Week 3. Those are the things you should be looking for. As far as us Ram fans go, all we really need to look for in Week 4, again, is to come out of it relatively healthy like we have so far this preseason. I'll have a better idea of where Goff is at the end of this one, where Case Keenum is, where Spruce and Higbee hopefully are. But it's the first road game for the Los Angeles Rams since moving back, and it's the first preseason road game, and it's only in Denver. We're going to be one of the least traveled preseason teams in all of professional football, which is good. Again, I don't know I think they play Minnesota Week 4. I don't even know if that's right. But, we got to get it buckled down, see what these guys can do. But again, if you're a fan of one of these teams out there, and obviously you're a football fan if you're watching this, injury-free, position battles, getting a clear-cut winner, and see what happens from there. It's going to wrap up the second edition. This show's flying. It's only 14 minutes. I have one more episode. I'm going to vent a little bit. I'm going to wrap up with some news as far as how I'm going to cover shows in the future, and certainly what you can expect for Week 4 of the preseason from the Week 4 segment of LA Ram Central. All right. So what's bugging me this week? I've been wanting to talk about this all week long, but I've been trying to calm down and come down from the yellow. So I'm going to ask a general question. I want you guys actually participate on this. So if you're watching this, I genuinely want your comment down here. I'm going to say my piece, so you're going to know where I stand with this, but I want to know where you guys stand. For whatever reason, let's pretend for a moment that the AFC North has 4 teams with 10 wins or more. The Pittsburgh Steelers go 13-3. 14-2. Let's say 14-2. The Baltimore Ravens go 12-4. The Cincinnati Bengals go 11-5. And the Cleveland Browns finish at 10-6. Now, how many of you would realize what an incredible improvement the Cleveland Browns had this year from last year if they finished the year 10-6? Forget the fact that they're last place in the division. Or would that matter to you? Why are you asking this, Anthony? What's going on? What's this in reference to? I'm listening to talk shows. Sports talk shows. In the morning. There's a guy that does a football show that, quite frankly, you and I can do better with. At times. At times he's really good. But he made the statement that the Cleveland Browns could win 10 games this year and no one would notice. Really? If the NFL wouldn't cover that kind of improvement on a team... First of all, just so you know, I'll be all over it. Not because I like the Browns, and I do. Look, I'll give you an example. If you look over here on the board, okay, I don't think highly of Cleveland. I don't think highly necessarily of Tennessee, although I think they'll be improved. New York Jets, San Diego Chargers, Detroit Lions, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Philadelphia Eagles, or the San Francisco 49ers. If any one of those teams wins 10 games this year and finish last in their division, I'm going to be all over that like white on rice on a paper plate in a snowstorm. Because that's not only good for the division, it's good for the league, and it's certainly going to be fun to talk about. Because these teams came out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. So, why wouldn't you talk about it? Am I crazy? Would you guys not notice that? So that's what I need you to do. You're going to comment in the comment section, hopefully. I have 780 subscribers. I'd love to see 780 responses to this question. Either yes or no. Would you notice a team that is not your team, a team that you do not follow, that is supposed to be garbage, would you notice they went 10-6? I know I would. If I'm watching football, I'm going to notice. If I'm following wild card races, I'm going to notice. I'm going to notice big time. So I don't know where this guy, his brain is. But it reminded me, therein lies the problem right there, guys. We talked about the biases last week. If you can't acknowledge a team going from nowhere to 10-6, why are you in this profession? Go home. Sit in the room with your buddies and talk about the same teams no matter what's going on around you. You do us no service. Blows my mind. How could you not notice? Like, that's the question I really cannot answer. Like, I can't get over it. How would you not notice that? Like, if the Niners went 10-6 with Blaine Gabbert, how would we not notice that? There was a time, for you younger ones out there, there was a time when the National Football League treated all 28 teams with the same respect when it was earned. When it wasn't earned, they were just as brutal then as they are today. But there wasn't this constant media coverage of the same old stuff. I remember 86. 86, in my opinion, is the greatest single season in NFL history. And believe me, the Rams didn't do much. We went 10-6 and lost the wild card game in Washington. But why that's the single greatest year, and some people might even say 85, and that's fair, because 85 had a similar situation. But yeah, the Bengals and the Seahawks both go 10-6 and miss the playoffs. And I'm telling you, the Bengals and Seahawks got a butt ton of coverage. A butt ton of coverage. The Jets were all over the news at 10-1. And they were all over the news when they had their collapse of 5 straight losses going into the playoffs at 10-6. Longest losing streak of any team to ever make postseason in NFL history. Like, all of that was covered. Everyone got their piece of the pie. Yes, Dallas still got overblown coverage. Yes, the Denver Broncos and John Elway, because they had a love infatuation with Denver Broncos and John Elway, got a lot of coverage. But so did the Giants. So did the Redskins. So did the Niners. So did the Rams. So did the Bears. I remember 85. I just got done watching it. I got the fourth quarter of half of the third quarter and the fourth quarter of the NFC Championship game, the AFC Championship, and the Super Bowl to still go. And I have that season complete as far as watching it. Okay? I have every single week 1 through 16. I don't have every single game, but I've got at least one game every single week. The Detroit Lions, they were all over the place. And I only have 2 Lion games, the 2 times they played the Bears. But highlights of the Lion game, coverage of the Detroit Lions, hey, they're at home, they're playing really well. Why? Because they were upsetting people. They were 7-1 at home, 7-2, whatever it was, 7-1. Their only loss at home was to the Chicago Bears in Week 16. But they were all over the news. They should have been. They upset the Niners, the defending world champs. They upset Miami. I mean, they were legit. I would think that's noticeable. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. But I would think if the Buccaneers started off 4-0, and God, that would suck. That means they beat us. It's going to be noticeable on my end. Damn right it will be, because I think they're going to be terrible. I hate Dirk Cotter. The Buccaneers are in shambles. But the Niners? No one's expecting much from the Niners. Any one of those teams I had picked last. Any one of the teams they had picked last, they ain't going to cover. They just said it. They said it on the radio. It'd be a real shame if the Browns won 10 games, finished 4th in the division. No one would notice. Really? No one would notice. You call yourself professional. God damn. I'm in a room in my own home on a laptop with a lamp with no shade to provide the lighting. And I'm better at your job than you in a studio with all the bells and whistles? Are you kidding me? Now, granted, I know a lot of crap. Way more crap than a football fan should. How do you not notice? So that's my rant. What you can expect for the regular season. And I'm not going to do this for preseason because it's preseason. So all I'm going to do tomorrow, or next week, is I'm going to talk about this game. Guys, next week, you're going to really want to watch because that's where the rubber's going to meet through. I'm going to be brutally honest with you at that point. I'm not going to make my final predictions yet because news could still break and things could go on. But, man, my final analysis of the Rams is going to come out next week after this game against Denver tomorrow. Unquestionably. And I will hold nothing back. You guys already know that. Tavon Austin better show something in this game. Because if you can't beat a defense that's been weakened, and I take nothing from Denver secondary, they're a great secondary. So you better show something against the good teams. And then prove it against the bad teams, which he didn't do, hasn't done. But at least step in the right direction. So we'll talk about where the rubber really meets the road with this team and what we can realistically expect in 2016. When we start the show, I'm going to give 3 different statistics. I'm going to go over this again next week, but I'm going to explain it here too. Week 1 through the season, you're going to get what the LA Rams record was against this opponent, excluding their days in Cleveland and St. Louis. You're going to get what their statistics were against that opponent from 37 to 94. And then I'm going to give you their statistics against that team currently. So an example, and these numbers are all fabricated. I don't know if these are the actual numbers. Let's say against Denver, the Rams' record, they would have only played Denver when they were the LA Rams in the first scenario. So we wouldn't have to worry about the 37 ones. So that would be the same number, 37 and 94, as it would be when they were just the LA Rams. So against Denver, let's say the Rams were 4-5. Okay? 4-5. But the record against Denver, including St. Louis, might be, 6-21 or 6-12. Who knows? So you kind of see the distinction between the two. Now let's say it's the Giants. Again, fabricated numbers. Against New York, when they were the LA Rams, the Rams were 33-12. Against New York, when they were the Rams from 37-94, they were 48-28. Their record currently right now against the Giants, their season series, is 48-41. Again, all fabricated numbers. Just an example. And I will explain each one as we break down. And then I'm going to go into detail on what you can expect on the game. And then I'm going to have the mid-segment is where I'm going to cover the other teams. There's a lot of games in Week 1 I'm excited to see, and I'm going to point those out and really talk about what you can expect just for matchup purposes and potential playoff teams or playoff caliber teams playing each other early on, which is always exciting to watch. And then I'll wrap it up with what the Rams need. I'll wrap it up with the Rams in some capacity, whether it's talking about a certain player that I'm really excited about seeing, a certain statistic that they, really excelled in from week to week, where they're ranking defensively, how they're looking. I'll put a nice little bow on it and wrap it up. The biggest segment, though, guys, some weeks may very well be the midsection where I'm covering other teams. So just be ready for that. Guys, that's it. This show's relatively short. I told you it would be. It's preseason, baby. Ain't much to talk about right now. Let's beat Denver in Denver and show the world that our starters are ready to compete against the best defenses in football. Go Rams. That's it for LA Rams Central. I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the game. I know I will. Got my away garb. I'm ready to go. Go Rams!